Hello guys, and welcome to this volkswizard video. Now, there aren't many modifications I recommend you do to your up GTI, at least while it's under warranty, but something that you can do that's completely reversible is replace a standard paper air filter with a performance one. I'm not talking cone filters or induction kits, I'm just talking simply replacing the paper filter in the original airbox with a free flow filter. Now, some manufacturers claim these increase horsepower, but we're using one from a company called ITG, and all they say is that it might give you a bit more torque and a sharper throttle response, which means the car should drive a little bit nicer. Now, some people do worry that the oil that's used to trap the dirt in these filters can contaminate your mass airflow sensor, and there have been reports of this, but I've spoken to ITG about this and they tell me that the oil they use is very, very thick and it cannot shift from the filter. Problems only occur when people use the wrong oil or they put too much of it on. So if you follow the instructions, it should be perfectly fine. Now let's have a quick look at the air filter. Toby the cat says it's good enough to trap all his hair that keeps on coming off. So here we have the ITG Profilter, and ITG are a great company. They've got a fine history in motorsport with filters for Formula 1 cars, touring cars and rally cars. This is just from their road range. It's just a standard replacement, as I mentioned earlier. It goes in the standard airbox. The car will look completely standard, as you can see now, but should drive a bit better. It is a little bit fiddly to fit it. It's not massively difficult, but there are a few tips and tricks I can pass on. It'll save you having to learn them because there's plenty of opportunity to break bits of plastic doing this job. So without any further ado, let's get this ITG Pro filter fitted to this Volkswagen Up GTI. Okay guys, let's get started then by undoing the T30 screw that holds the airbox to the engine. It's sort of in the middle of the airbox, at the bottom of the airbox, and it's black. You can see it pretty clearly in daylight though. So just put the T30 driver into there. Make sure you don't drop it, because it's very easy to drop something like this and never find it again. So that's what we've got, the T30 screw there, and that's the driver we're using. And then undo this hose on this side here, it's a breather hose, and then there's just down on the front right of the airbox there's a pipe clipped into there, a plastic pipe, so undo that, and then just lift the airbox on its two corners, just give it a firm tug upwards because there are two prongs that are holding it in place, so we're just going to release those, like so, and then the pipe on the left hand side here will come off this ducting, which just leaves the hose clip at the back. Now this is on a funny little arrangement where it looks like you've just split the pipe, but I'm pretty sure you haven't because it looks sealed when I had a closer look at it before. So don't worry about that, just try not to move it too much now while it's still attached, and get your hose clips on there. Now I'm going to use these water pump pliers. There are many ways to undo a hose clip. Some people have got a proper tool that I just don't get on with very well, or you can use mole grips even, but there's not an awful lot of room down there. So we're just going to use these and compress the spring clip. Okay, so that's compressed, which should mean that the airbox now is released from this big air pipe at the back of it. So there we go, that's off. And then just make sure that sits properly when you release it. Okay, so that's done. Now this should be free. There's not an awful lot of room under the bulkhead, but yeah, that's good. Okay, now what we need to do next is undo the 9 screws that hold the airbox together, because it's in 2 pieces. So you've got the top bit and this bit that the filter sits in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now you can do this by hand, but we're not going to do it by hand because it takes too long. So we're going to use a T25 in a drill. So T25 torques have to make it difficult by changing from 30 to 25. So you can't lose these screws because they're pretty well attached to the body, so they won't fall out basically. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, while we've got it in our hands, just these are the 2 bits where the airbox sits on the engine, so you're basically pulling the prong out of these rubber hoops, and there's the one at the front there. Just make sure that sits nicely when you reinstall it, because it can snag a bit, as that one has. Okay, now this should just come apart, so let's see what happens. Alright, there we go. That's the base of the air filter housing, and there is the air filter. Okay, onto the filter. Right, so I've not opened this yet, I've got no idea what it's like inside. Okay, so yeah, it does not feel particularly oily. It's a little bit sticky, which is exactly what you want to trap the dirt, but it doesn't feel sodden with oil, so I've got no problem with fitting that into my modern mass airflow sensor equipped car. So there we go, so that's the ITG Profilter, that's the original filter, so yeah, perfect fit, slightly different design there because it's got more, well, it hasn't got a gap down the middle of it, but anyway, whether it's got more surface area, I'm not a scientist, I can't tell you, but I do trust ITG to make a good product, so I'm quite happy to have that in my car. Right then, I can't remember which way round this goes, but let's try that way. Yeah, that looks good to me. It's quite easy to put this on the wrong way around, or try to. The screws kind of almost line up, but don't. So if it's not lining up, you put it on the wrong way around. So that's perfect. And then back to our drill with the T25. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's all. You don't need to be very tight, you just tighten plastic to plastic. It isn't going to work itself loose. So that's it, done. And now we just need to refit the airbox to the car. So first thing to do is line up the pipe on the left hand side here, the air duct, and then line up the air duct at the back. So you're going to need to undo the spring clip, but just make sure it's lined up first. Looks good to me. And then let's release that spring clip. Okay, that's released. That's really important that you push the airbox down well into this duct at the back, because it can look like it's in, the spring clip will release nicely, but it won't be. So just make sure it's a long way in. And then release the spring clip. You should be able to get your hand under like that, and you'll know it's all the way in. If it's higher, you won't be able to do that, and that means it's not in fully. So let's just check that. Okay, yeah, I'm pulling it up, and I can't pull it out of that air pipe at the back, so that's good. Okay, so that's in. Just need to push it now down onto the 3 mounting points. One of them that takes the screw. It should be lined up because everything else is lined up, so it's just a question of making sure we don't snag the rubber that secures it to these bits. So let's just pull it forward and then push down at the same time, like so. So that's perfect. So make sure at the front where you're going to put the screw, you can actually see the thread, and the rubber donut bit is not snagged. That's perfect. And this feels good under there because it's secure. So clip that hard plastic hose back on. Put the breather hose back on as well. And then find that T30, hopefully you haven't lost it. Here we are. And then pop that back in front again. Be careful, don't want to drop that because it probably take you longer to try and find that screw than it would to do this job in the first place. Okay, so let's just check, everything's good. Air pipe at the back, I say just double check that because that's really easy to fall foul of. And that is it, we fitted our ITG Profilter to this Volkswagen Up GTI. Now let's go and drive it. Okay, here we are behind the wheel of the Up GTI with the ITG Profilter Performance Air Filter. Now, it's a tricky one to do this because there's not going to be a massive difference over standard, but I've driven it around now for about half an hour and I can definitely feel that the car picks up with a bit more enthusiasm. So if we slow down to like 4th and just under 3,000 revs and squeeze the throttle, the way it picks up just like that just seems a little bit more enthusiastic than it did before. So I think it's worth it just for that. Another benefit of a performance air filter like this one from ITG is that it lasts 5 times longer than the standard. So as long as you clean it every 10,000 miles, it should last a lot longer than the one you have from the factory. And another good thing about them is that if you get bored of them, you can just sell it on. So this might cost 90, 120. We bought this one off eBay, but if you sell it second hand, it's got to be worth sort of like 60, 70 quid when you change cars. And so you can just enjoy it while you've got the car and sell it on to some other enthusiast. And if you want to buy one, I'll put in the description where you can buy one from. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this VolksWizard video about the ITG Profilter performance air filter. If you have, give it a thumbs up and see you for the next one soon. Cheers.